Hello, and welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I'm Amy Horowitz, Group Vice President for Informatica. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with two incredible leaders who are helping shape the future of data and AI. As part of our Global Power Women feature, we'll be diving into their leadership journeys, challenges they've overcome, and how they're driving innovation and navigating the evolving landscape around AI and data governance. I'm honored today to be joined by Dr. Adita Karkera, Chief Data Officer for Deloitte's Government and Public Services, along with Michelle Boston, Chief Information Officer for Data Management Technology and Enterprise Architecture and Managing Director at Bank of America. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited to hear about the work that you're doing to inspire and lead across the industry. Let's jump right in. So, Michelle, I'm actually going to start with you on this first question. Let's talk about spotlights for a second. So can you share a bit about your background, your current role, and what really brought you into data leadership?
Yeah, well, thank you. And thank you for having me. It's really thrilling to be with all of you. A little bit about my history. I'm probably one of the most traditional paths to a CIO, although I don't think I ever expected to be a CIO when I started. I got a degree in computer science and management information systems. My father was an electrical engineer and kind of encouraged me down a technical track at a very young age, and really started as a programmer learning the craft. Moved my way up in different industries and consulting and transportation, property and casualty insurance. And about 10 years into my career, I got into the data space. That was at a global commercial property casualty company. And I led their data warehousing strategy and their business intelligence strategy very early, late 1990s, kind of 2000s. So that was really when the boom for online analytical processing and business-oriented capabilities in the business intelligence space really blossomed. And I think that was the moment I was hooked. How do you aggregate this kind of data at scale? How do you help your executives make decisions off that data, both from a strategy perspective, an operational perspective, a risk management perspective? And from then on, really, I focused on data strategy, data science, analytics, and ultimately AI. So really, when I moved to Bank of America, I had just left a startup as a CIO of a startup, and I really started over again doing something I love, which was data and information architecture and enterprise data management at scale. And I made my way up, taking more and more roles, which brought data protection and privacy into my space, which is such an important topic for financial services, data strategy, delivering high quality data across all of our lines of business and control functions to meet regulatory requirements, but to truly unlock the power of that data for our businesses, both from strong risk management, responsible growth, and business enablement, to really give customers and clients a differentiated experience and to deliver great data and data decision-making to our associates. So that's where I am now. I'm thrilled to be here, and data is still my passion every day.
I love it. So before I leave you, I have one follow-up to your first question. My first question was really, in your experience early in your career, what influenced your data leadership approach?
I think I had the pleasure of in consulting and then again in some of my strategic roles in different businesses to be very focused on being the intersection between incredibly technical work that the development teams were doing and the business outcomes that executives were trying to achieve. And I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of being in the data space, because you bridge both what are the business outcomes we're trying to achieve and how are we driving value in a way that resonates with our business executives and our communities and our clients. And you're kind of bridging that with still being able to stay deeply steeped in the technical of how do I deliver? How do I deliver at scale? How do I deliver enterprise platforms where maybe you would build bespoke ones if you really didn't create a horizontal view of the demands of both our businesses and the CIOs that service those businesses. So it's a very rewarding and rich career.
Great. So Adita, I'm going to toss it over to you. Let me ask you, you've had an amazing career. Can you share a little bit about your background and your current role and really what brought you into data leadership?
Hey, thanks, Amy. First, thank you so much for having me on here. Amy, it's always great talking to you and reconnecting. And Michelle, such a treat to be on a show together with you. So really looking forward to the conversation. Amy, like I'm thinking, if you went back and asked Adita when she was a high schooler, like, hey, would she be a honoree today for this show? And would she be a CDO today? Oh my gosh, like, I don't know what kind of answers you would have gotten, but it surely wouldn't have been that she would be the CDO today. So just to shorten that to say, life has been great. As a professional, I've had opportunities to grow. I have mentors who have shaped the way for me. I have had colleagues who helped me grow and get to where I am. Not to say that hard work is not the baseline, of course, because I always think that, you got to have your basic data skills and your hard work in place before you get to where you aspire to be, right? But it's been a fascinating journey, 25 years in the industry. I started off as a database analyst, and as my first CDO gig, I was appointed as the Deputy Chief Data Officer in 2017 for Arkansas. And boy, that was a totally different ball game, since at that time we didn't really have so many government CDOs in the market. That job and that role really pushed me and gave me motivation to go ahead and do my doctorate, which had been pending for a really long time. And I pursued that in the field of data, CDO, and AI. Had a chance to serve in Governor Hutchinson's COVID task force, helping battle COVID-19 solutions, and then moved over to Deloitte to continue to serve public in a different angle. So today I lead the Office of the CDO as a CDO for Deloitte's Government and Public Services to continue not only to cater to our public sector organizations and help them harvest the most out of their data and AI investments, but I also lead our internal data strategy and our internal data office for Deloitte. I'm so excited to be here today and looking forward to the rest of the conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm going to stick with you also on this next part of the same question. When you look back at your experience and your career, what really influenced you and your data leadership approach? Was there one thing or two things that really stood out?
Oh my gosh, how much time do we have for this again? I'm just kidding. I will say, Amy, one thing that really stood out to me was, especially in the public sector, I think we've collected data for as far back as memory serves, right? Whether it was driver's license data, insurance data, whatever. But what got to me was like, are we just collecting data, or are we really investing in getting actionable and intelligent insights from it? And I think that curiosity led me to asking questions on like, hey, we're collecting data for what? Are we really utilizing it and leveraging it to get answers to make citizens' lives better? And I think that to me was kind of a turning point. It was like, hey, I need to be having a seat at the table so I can influence some of this. So that was definitely one of the pivotal points for me.
Right. So, Adita, I'm going to stick with you for our next question. So, we obviously have to talk about AI. We hear it everywhere. We hear it at dinner. We hear it at customer meetings. Our friends are talking about it. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges or barriers that you've had to, that you've come up against as you've been advancing your AI strategies? How are you approaching and overcoming them?
And Amy, I can answer that a little bit from both an industry perspective as well as internally. I think we continue, unfortunately, sometimes to think of AI as that shiny object, right? And so even though you have an AI strategy in place, much like a data strategy, unless it's actionable and you have certain milestones and KPIs that you're moving towards, it's hard to see a strategy become truly successful.
Right.
Add to it all the nuances with like siloed systems, stovepipe solutions that exist in almost all industries, right? Add to it the issue of, do folks really understand AI? I mean, I'm still struggling with the fact, do folks really are data literate and data fluent, right? And to me, that's kind of baseline, right? Like data literacy is no longer just for data practitioners. It's an inherent skill needed for any person today, right? So I think the lack of just having an AI fluent, AI literate organization is definitely a challenge. And I see that as I talk to other CDOs, as I advise them in setting up their data offices and AI offices, like, hey, great, you have an AI strategy. Let's make sure it's actionable. Let's make sure you're meeting your KPIs and make sure you're always investing and bite-sized learnings for your practitioners too.
So when you look at all the challenges you face, was there one that really stood out the most? I think you talked about data literacy in an organization. Would you say that's the one shock that stood out to you the most? The challenge?
Well, I mean, I think that's one that we hear a lot about. I think I also want to talk about like the foundational data layer, right? I mean, I still feel like garbage in, garbage out still rings so true to me because really, there's only going to be so much model trust if you don't have enough data trust, right? So I'm a firm believer what you feed in is what you get. And I think a lot of organizations kind of want to jump on AI solutions. But if you're not going to be able to have trust in the data that you fed in to your AI models, it's going to be hard to trust the solutions coming out of that AI model, right? So I think kind of continuing to have a focus on data quality as we think about AI solutions to ensure those AI solutions are trustworthy and equitable, not for us, but also for generations to come is just so important.
That's right. I'm going to quote one of your colleagues, Jim Rowan. He says today, data that's good enough is not good enough. And I think we're seeing that quite a bit. So Michelle, I'm going to turn it over to you for the same question. AI is everywhere. What kind of challenges or barriers have you come up against with your AI strategies, and how have you approached overcoming them?
Yeah, look, I agree with Adita. AI is not new, right? For us, we have 7,800 patents for software. 1,400 of those are AI patents for things we've already been using for many, many years, right? The more traditional machine learning, robotic process automation, chatbots, automated workflows. So AI and predictive analytics, the analytics space, which is so dear to us in data, has used AI and models for so long. I think, the generative AI portion is new, but we really view it as deeply understand your business and your business strategies, and AI is an enabler to those strategies. I think one of the common misconceptions is that you have an AI strategy and you build that strategy in absence of a business need, and I think that's where a lot of companies go wrong. I think the other barrier, which we're kind of good at because we're financial services and everybody's on their different journey, is you have to deeply understand your business processes and what parts of that business process are going to be re-engineered with AI or Gen AI as an enabler. And then how does the work for the people performing that process become improved, changed, or how do they shift from one type of work given AI to human augmented or AI assisted workflows? So I think if you really, really start with a focus on the business and the achievement of business outcomes and the understanding of those processes, to the point that's being made, don't get too caught up in the technology. We'll find the right technology to address those business processes to create either, outstanding client experiences, more personalization, more insights, more efficiency of our associates, elimination of toil, right? Those are all the outcomes, but they're business focused outcomes. So that's work we do together with our businesses and our CIO teams every single day.
Fantastic. As we wrap up, I'd like to thank our Global Data Power Women honorees for sharing their insights today. For more information and stories, please visit cdomagazine.tech. Thank you.